Welcome to Recently Logged, where we're having our first crossover episode of Phase 3 of the RLCU. That's the Recently Logged cinematic universe.
Wow. Thanks for that lovely context, Micah.
Right now we're recording from the future.
We are, yeah. Well, I guess, technically.
Yes, we are. We recorded the rest of the episode, like the main part of the episode, with our guest this week, Luke.
Yes.
And we recorded that like yesterday, and we're doing the intro and outro right now.
Yes, that is correct. We are currently a bit behind schedule, but I think the episode on the whole came out all right.
Yeah, the stupid clock jumping forward.
Speaking retroactively on the quality of the main discussion part of this, what are we discussing today,
We're
Micah?
talking about WandaVision today, and what we have to do before we get into all that is we're going to go over WandaVision's basic facts.
Yes.
To where you guys know, and theoretically we would be refreshed before we went in, but we already talked about it.
We already talked about it, yeah.
But we're going to go over it anyway.
Yes.
All right. WandaVision is a TV miniseries rated TV PG, though I feel like that's incorrect. Only the first episode is rated TV PG.
I don't know.
Anyway, it's an action comedy drama. It's got 9 episodes.
Yes.
Its cast consists of Elizabeth Olsen, Paul Bettany, Kathryn, Hahn?
Yes.
Yeah. And Teyonah, Parris.
Oh, wow. Actually, a pretty easy name to pronounce. I'm like, why is he hesitating so much? Wait,
because I didn't know what her last name was.
Oh, wow.
It was written by Jack Schaefer.
Mm-hmm.
Schaefer. Very nice.
Just one writer? Oh, head writer. Okay.
Yeah, that was the head writer. Where's... Dude, with the cast and crew is not very well written.
Oh my god.
It was directed by Matt Shakman.
Yes. He was the series creator, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And yeah, there were a lot of overall writers.
Okay. Well, there you go. I mean, it is a mini-series, so it makes sense. The writing rooms for shows are usually pretty big.
But yeah.
But yes.
Here we go, and here we go for our trivia. The actual runtime of the entire show, without recaps, logos, or end credits, is 4 hours and 22 minutes.
Wow. One of the longest, quote-unquote, movies that we've done on here.
The recaps, logos, and credits add another 84 minutes.
Wow. Okay. Well, I guess the recaps are pretty lengthy.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're discussing new Marvel miniseries that is supposed to be launching the new phase, quote-unquote, of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And Luke is a pretty big, I would say pretty big comic book guy.
Yeah.
He's very really enthusiastic about the community around the MCU, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I think it brings that's the main reason we brought him in for this episode, is it brings an interesting dynamic when discussing something this influential to the MCU as a whole, and also discussing it as a miniseries.
And if you don't know, he is also on our Jojo Rabbit episode and our
Muppets episode. Yes, he has been on the podcast quite a few times before. And yeah, here's the discussion. I hope you guys enjoy. Our audio messed up in a couple of parts. The actual recording of this next segment was very disjointed in a lot of ways. It was our first guest episode of this season, so we were a little rusty on...
And we got interrupted
I was about to say by outside forces. Our recordings got interrupted 2 or 3 times by outside forces, so I'm sorry if this is a little rougher than our usual quality of audio and just general pacing and structuring of the actual discussion, but I hope you still enjoy it nonetheless.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
Hey.
We have our guest here now to speak about the new MCU miniseries. Well, I don't know how new it is, I guess. I mean, it's pretty new.
It's 2021. It's new.
The miniseries WandaVision. Say hi, Luke.
Hi, Luke.
Good job.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, that was good. It was good. I don't know. I actually come to think of it, should we reference you as just Luke or It's Luke?
Yeah, I'm just Luke. It's fine.
Co-host.
Okay, not It's Luke, just Luke. All right, just Luke.
No. See? Look, it's Luke. See? It works.
Yeah. But anyway,
yeah, Luke's fine.
We've already gone over all the basic facts for the show, the miniseries. Yes.
Okay.
I'm assuming Luke is already familiar with like the year and who's in WandaVision. But yeah,
Scarlett Johansson.
Yes.
It's something like Scarlet something. So I don't know. It's probably close enough.
Benedict
Paul
Cumberbatch.
McCartney and Scarlett Johansson.
Paul McCartney and Scarlett Johansson. Yes. But yeah.
Is it Mephisto?
All right.
To kick us off, let's go over what we thought of WandaVision on the whole.
All
like
right.
just our basic
thoughts.
opening thoughts for the
Basic
discussion.
thoughts for discussion.
Okay, you know what, Micah?
Who wants to go first? I can go first. You can go first. Luke can go first.
Luke, do you want to go first?
I'll go first.
Do it.
It's bad. like really, really bad. It doesn't matter how good the first couple episodes are. It sucks. I said from the get-go, this episode could be fantastic for 8 episodes and then have one real stinker at the end and suddenly it's a bad show. It didn't start being bad at episode 9.
Yeah.
Probably around episode 5.
Yeah.
Episode 5 was probably where it lost me.
I could see that. Anything else you want to add just at the beginning of this to establish what you think of it on the whole? I mean, I guess it's bad, but anything specifically?
Wanda's a terrible person, and they let her get away with it.
I mean, fair enough.
Okay, I'm done.
All right.
You go next, Mike.
All right. So for me, WandaVision is interesting. I have an interesting overall relationship with the MCU. After like a whole year of like nonstop MCU, you kind of get like disillusioned to the whole thing, and then that year of no MCU was so nice. It was just nice. I don't care who was excited for what projects. A year without the MCU was nice, and then we came back with this. So I was like, all right, I gotta be refreshed to the MCU, and I was like, boom, episode 1. Wow, this is pretty fun. Boom, episode 2. Wow, this is pretty fun. Boom, episode 3. Wow, this was pretty fun. And then we just kind of fade off. And by the end of the show, I would probably say it's bad. Like, it just kind of gets self-engulfed in its own concept to the point of where it's just not that well put together. Like, it gets too much into itself. If that makes sense.
I don't know if I get what you're saying, but we can figure that out later.
Yeah. And then
out.
for the Wanda specific side of things, because I know me and Luke have talked about this before. I think Wanda is interesting as a character of like, oh, should you still like Wanda? Is she a good person still? I think a lot of it is she kind of like, I think they try in the show to be like, oh, she didn't even realize what she was doing, which fine,
did.
But like she still did some messed up stuff and was hardly like sorry for it at all by the end of the show, except for like looking at people awkwardly.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't think she really like.
And then Monica.
And then she choked everybody out anyway.
Pass.
Yeah.
Right at the end of the show, Monica rocks up.
It is a little troublesome.
Pass. They will never know what you gave up. Okay.
Yeah.
You took everything from them.
And then I also actually that specific point, the the kids at like the end of the show thing is a specific thing I want to bring up, but we'll do that later because I actually have some interesting
Yeah, I was about to
opinions
say,
on that.
just your basic thoughts.
So that's my
Micah.
basic thoughts,
All
is
right.
that Wanda is weird. WandaVision is kind of fun, but ends up falling off to be kind of boring and plain and troublesome.
All right, what did I think of WandaVision? I thought that I really enjoyed the first couple of episodes. I really like. I'm something of a sitcom fan myself, and not like hardcore, but I enjoy a good sitcom, like something like Seinfeld or something like that. And I was really I really was digging the not only like production quality of the different era recreations, but also just the general writing quality for the episodes, and a lot of the way the surreal elements were mixed into them I really liked. But I think just like the series on a whole is kind of blotted out by the gray sword, I almost said shield, sword side plot.
Oh wait,
which
no.
just really kind of sucks all of the life out of the show.
Right.
Which, I mean, for the plot to happen, there has to be an outside force, obviously.
But it could have been anything. It could have just been Jimmy Woo.
And what's her face?
Yeah, that would have made it better. It's just
the
Jimmy
quote unquote.
Woo.
Yeah, the quote unquote villain. I don't even remember her name. I almost said Magica.
Agnes.
Agatha.
I've been watching too much DuckTales. Yeah, I was about to say I've been watching too much DuckTales.
Dude, she really is magic.
she doesn't really serve that much of a purpose. Like, she's more just a detour in the main plot. Like, she doesn't really affect anything. She's just an obstacle for Wanda to deal with the whole show.
Well, they're both obstacles.
Oh,
Even
yeah.
named sword man that I don't remember his name for.
The guy
He's
everyone
just
thought was
there.
Ultron, because no one's just that pure evil.
He shoots at the freaking kids.
Yeah, you need to have a logical term for that, because you know, like a week ago, Captain Marvel's friend daughter, she was like, "Oh, you're the best for the role." Like, you need to have a logical turn. You can't just say the last 5 years. Like,
Right, like, like, come on.
we were struggling to keep the lights on of a massive facility. Oh, I'm so sorry for you.
But yeah, on the whole, I quite enjoyed it until just eventually the sword stuff kind of takes over the... Like, basically, I liked the episodes, just all of the stuff within the sitcom style. And it just left me kind of wishing the whole show was that way, even though for the plot to happen, it can't be.
Yeah.
But yeah, that basically covers all of it.
All right. Do we want to get into the next section, being questions and main discussion?
Yes, indeed. I feel like we kept interjecting into each other's basic thoughts, just jumping to get to the
Yeah.
actual discussion
so
part.
much, there's some good meat to this to talk about.
So yeah, whoever has a question ready, shoot.
I actually have one, and this was kind of the obvious one. Since it's a mini-series and not a movie, we're not going to do favorite scene or sequence. No. We're going to do
Oh my
favorite
gosh.
episode. So what is your favorite episode?
Oy. What is the one that ends with Peter coming back? Oh, I'm sorry, I mean Ralph.
I think that's
Is that 3 or 4?
like it ends with him.
Yeah, that
popping
one.
in. I believe,
So-
Yeah, we interrupt this program. I think that is it. Maybe.
because I know.
Wait, I think it has to be 4.
I think it's at the end of 5. It's at the end of 5 because 6 is the
Oh.
Halloween one where he's there. For
Yeah,
all of that.
yeah. Because 5 is the one where they have their kids, right?
Yeah. So mine's 5,
I believe. Yeah.
which is, I think it goes against the grain, but I just think it's the one that balances the sword stuff and the main stuff best.
Yeah, honestly, in terms of balancing story, I would say that's probably the best. Go between Sword and WandaVision.
And then it leaves you on a nice cliffhanger to go into the next episode. And it's like, okay.
If only that cliffhanger went anywhere.
Can we, at some point in this, can we talk about some of the criticism of criticism? Because it really bugs me.
Yeah. First, I guess we have to pick a favorite episode. I'm not sure. I might do... I might actually end up going with episode 1, actually. I really enjoyed episode 1. It ends on a nice, sudden note. I really like that it doesn't break the, sitcom, reality until the very end. And it left a very nice taste in my mouth, to use a metaphor.
Yeah, I think my favorite episode would probably be episode 3, which
the 70s one?
Yeah, which actually looks like I can't remember. Does she have? Because look, she's pregnant in this one. Does she have?
Yeah, I think this is the one where.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah.
I thought this was like in terms of the first couple episodes and the more sitcom feel. I liked this one because it felt like it was the sitcom was starting to fall apart a little bit more, and I really wanted it to get into more horror. I wanted it to be essentially a Twilight Zone episode kind of feel, where it would kind of devolve into more horror style elements instead of devolving into an MCU movie.
Yeah, I was about to say, instead of devolving into MCU.
And I did see on the Taylor J. Williams video, he mentions that he thought they played their hand way too fast, and I would agree. I feel like this, where they were at in episode 3 was a little too fast. But I still think it was a really good episode, in my opinion.
I was going to mention that, actually. I feel like they just go... They break the sitcom thing way too soon.
They break the sitcom thing 4 episodes.
Yeah, I was about to say, not even halfway through the series.
Yeah, I think.
But yeah,
about right. I would agree with at least Micah. I think 3 is probably up there as well. 1, I'm not a fan of old sitcoms. Yeah. I can appreciate it. I can appreciate the first 2. And I could have liked where they went from there. But I was...
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one.
I like 70s stuff and 80s and the 90s and all of that. But just the black and white...
fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like the introduction to the character, I felt like it was a little slow for, I don't know, episode 1 was good, but it just wasn't, my personal... favorite.
I think 2 was better than 1.
I felt it was okay, but yeah, I would say 2.
You see Wanda get rattled.
1, 3, 2, 1 would be my favorite.
You see Wanda get shaken up by the radio.
I don't know. I think 2 is funnier than 1 in terms of just sitcoms being.
There is a couple stupid things in 2.
I can see that.
Can I mention them now?
Yeah, I was about to say because the episode 2 is the talent show.
Yeah,
thing,
it's
right?
the talent show with the gum.
Yeah, I was about to say there are a couple elements of that episode that I was just eh.
Can we talk about that now?
But
so,
yeah,
in 2, the plane isn't black and white because reasons. I don't know. It's supposed to go in and blend to the surroundings, but it just doesn't because you want to freak out Wanda.
Yeah, now that you mentioned that, that's kind of weird.
That shouldn't happen. They just did it to shake up Wanda.
I feel like it was inevitable. I feel like it was inevitable in the passage of time because she had already jumped a decade of, from 1 to 2 of TV shows. So I feel like for me personally, in my watching experience, my opinion of that was just her subconscious was transitioning it to the next era of. Yeah, but TV shows, but it is kind of weird that it was already starting to glitch out in terms of her seeing things.
Did she know she was going to move forward an era? Was that a plan?
Well, no. See, I think that's kind of the thing for me in WandaVision, and which is why I kind of feel like, in some ways, it's correct in the fact that she didn't know what she was doing, because I don't think she was like consciously switching eras of television. Now, obviously, that doesn't really make sense for how it happened. But I don't think
shocked
the character was written
when.
Yeah, I don't think the character was written to actually be knowing like oh, it is horrible to all of these people infecting their minds like this, and oh, I'm controlling this entire thing and making it into like these different eras of sitcoms until it's convenient for the plot, and then she makes her little bubble wider.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess. It's fine. It's not.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird the way they do it with Wanda, and if you don't mind me getting into like that one thing I wanted to bring up with Wanda, I was kind of at the finale. I was kind of feeling like, oh, maybe Wanda, she didn't fully realize what she was doing. That's fine. It's fine. She's not a hero, but Scarlet Witch was never a hero, so it's fine. And then like, she permanently places Agatha under that torture for all of time, and then she also, in my opinion, like the worst thing she ever did was create her kids, and then like make it in a way that she had to kill them. Like, yeah. She killed her own children because she made them. Like in that way. I don't know. It seems really messed up to me that she makes these two sentient beings who have their own thoughts and opinions and everything, and then is just like, well, now you're dead because, I couldn't grieve or something like that.
You know what would have been real fun is if they kind of left the house as its own little bubble, so she could keep her vision and she could keep her kids, and they're kind of her, she has to go off with Doctor Strange at the end. I really
thought they were going to do
and
that.
And then she comes back to the house, wherever she needs to relax, and it's just her little bubble to escape everything, and I think that'd be real neat. And then at some point during Multiverse of Madness, they'd bring...
Yeah, I really thought they were going to do that.
Bring...
Yeah.
I thought that would have made a bunch of sense, and it wouldn't be too hard for her to hold, considering she held that whole town for so long.
Yeah, right. And I think because we were watching this with our whole family, and I think like our mom was just being like, okay, so just leave it just around the house. Like, this isn't hard. That seems like the obvious thing, I think, for the viewer, but I guess they just didn't want to do that.
Yeah, let's just boner jokes. But I feel like two different people wrote this show, but instead of kind of writing it between them, they just sort of went, okay, so you write episode 1 through 4, and then I'll write the rest. Because Wanda seemed shocked with the time period change, but she's just been doing it. She's had all the control this whole time. Great. I have a praise thing.
Yeah, no, it's...
I have a praise that I want to give the show, if I may.
All right.
I think Agatha's plan was... I think Agatha's plan was very smart. I was looking back after she was revealed as with the Agatha all along, which I did like that bit. I must say I'm partial to that song. But I think her plan was incredibly smart. So I'm just going to run through it so you can kind of get the perspective on why I think it was so good. The entire season, or the entire show up until episode 6, 7, she is trying to confuse Vision. So the first instance of this, I believe, is where she is, she's walked into the house to babysit the kids, and she plays up to the sitcom and pretends to, I forgot my line, should we redo that? And that throws Vision through a bit of a loop. He gets really confused by that, and then she gives them Sparky and kills Sparky within a day, which you can also see confuses Vision more. It's not often that you get a dog and bury it within the same day.
Yeah.
And she also sends Pietro, or Peter or Ralph.
I was about to say
into
Ralph.
the house, which Ralph Boner, great. Yep. That throws conflict between Wanda and Vision as well, to the point where he ventures off to find out what's outside. She is waiting for him in a car on the outside of town. And what she says, I can't remember what it was particularly, but it encourages him to try and venture out. And when he's stuck out there, he gets out. It forces Wanda to increase the size of the thing or let him die, which weakens Wanda. And then she can just swoop in, take the kids.
Yeah, not only does it weaken Wanda, it separates Wanda from Vision. Which Vision was her, like, she couldn't stop Vision, essentially.
Yeah, I think that entire plan was very smart from beginning to end. I don't necessarily like Agatha, I don't think Agatha was great, but I just gotta give props where they're due to that plan.
Yeah.
See, I thought one thing I don't like about Agatha... sorry, if you want to keep going, you can. But,
yeah, real quick. I think she was even planning to drag it out longer, but then she found out the kids, while she was babysitting Tommy, he said, your head is clear or something, or your head is quiet. And I think she was ready to play that out for longer, but then she found out the kids have superpowers already, and now got him.
Yeah. I think the only thing that I don't really like about Agatha, because, like, yeah, she's got a good plan, but I really don't think it plays into, like, the characters at all. And because it's all happening in the background, you have this good plan and what could theoretically be, like, a great villain if you set her up and did her right. Like, she's just doing all of this in the background that you don't even realize until you rewatch the show. And then the climax is just her being like, well... okay, I feel like it ends up leading to nothing, just because in the end she still just comes out and is like, hey, how'd you do it? And then just tries to get, like, and if she knew she could steal Wanda's power all along, like, I get trying to figure out how she did it, because, obviously she was like, oh, how is she doing the spells without any magic or any, like, incantation or anything like that? But I feel like it was pretty easy to figure out that she was actually creating this stuff, so I feel like it would have been really easy for Agatha to pick together that she was Scarlet Witch, and then just be like, okay, time to steal her power. So, I don't know. I feel like for me, while Agatha has a good plan, I don't think she's really utilized in a good way in the show.
Oh, absolutely not. I was trying to credit the show where credit was due. I don't want to get to the finale quite yet, but there's a lot of stupid about Agatha in the finale.
Right.
We'll get there. Okay. But yeah, we'll get there.
All right, does anybody have a question? Since we're still... like, we only have asked one question.
I guess, where in the plot, less so episode-wise, where did it lose you? Like, where was the point where you're gone?
I'm trying to remember. I think it was probably the breaking the fourth wall episode for me.
Yeah, I think that's where I completely checked out to the overall story.
The narrative just kind of slows to a halt, like right at the beginning of the episode. And I was just like, wow, this is really boring. Okay.
No, episode 7 I would say as one of the most boring, even if it's not like the worst. I would cite it as one of the most boring, and I don't think the whole office thing works in the slightest for it.
No.
Wait, episode 7?
Yeah.
Episode 7 is
breaking the fourth wall.
No, I'm trying to think of what happened in that episode. I thought the fourth wall. I thought breaking the fourth wall was the episode where they looked at Wanda's backstory. But then I thought that was episode 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say Monica, I think, gets revealed.
Yeah, previously on.
Monica gets revealed at the, or not Monica. I can't remember her name for the life of me. She gets revealed right at the end of breaking the fourth wall. Like that's the big cliffhanger. Yeah.
Oh, so the one moment it did Oh yeah, that episode was so bad.
Yeah, it was
Wait,
just
it just
so
stopped.
incredibly slow, and just nothing happened.
Yeah,
like
and-
almost the
and-
whole time.
And you had Wanda having increased her bubble, adding a bunch of people to it, but then it does nothing with that. Like they bring what's her face out, and she does nothing besides talk to Vision a little bit, and then hit the guy with the truck in the finale. But like that's my thing with
Dennings, don't be
WandaVision.
annoying challenge.
That's my thing with WandaVision is like from a story standpoint, and I said it at the beginning, like it feels like it gets so caught up in itself and its own mystery that it forgets to do anything with any of the pieces it's set up. So you have all of these interesting like characters like Agatha and Monica and like the different Vision and even Sword they could have done anything with, but it feels like they're sitting around just trying to be like, ooh, what's gonna happen?
Ooh,
It's a mystery.
We need a teaser at the end of each episode.
Yeah, and then
They're
like
desperate.
it doesn't go anywhere. They lead nowhere, and it all just kind of flops on top of itself by the end.
I mean, they dropped a couple plots along the way, didn't they? They dropped the missing persons case. That was mentioned in episode 1, and everyone was going, "Oh, who's this missing?" Or no, wasn't it someone who's someone who I can't remember what it's called, where they have to change name and identity to because they're being hunted or something.
Witness
One
protection.
of them
Witness
mentioned.
protection. I don't.
Yes,
I don't
witness protection.
remember.
That was
But I think
mentioned
you
in
might be
episode
right.
1, or no, episode 3, where Jimmy Woo is like, "Oh, we had an issue with something," and then it's just dropped entirely. Everyone's going, "Oh, I wonder who this missing person or witness protection person is," and it's like, "Oh, nothing. Oh, great."
Oh
How
yeah,
fun.
the identities of all the town folk, like when they're first watching the show. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I had forgotten
I'm
about
surprised
that.
they
Yeah.
didn't pick up more. Wait, who's this Agnes?
Yeah,
but-
exactly.
Also, there's logs of people who live places. They would have known everyone who lives in that town, and then taken that and gone, "Well, this Agnes, she's not on any of these records, so maybe she is behind it all."
Yeah.
Look. And I still believe they're going to do something with Evan Peters. Because who just
Yeah.
has a picture of them with their name on their table? It's just not a thing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so weird. Like I said, that's I think is my biggest problem with WandaVision. Because in the end, yeah, I think the finale's kind of stupid and everything, but I think it's only stupid because WandaVision plays all of its actual interesting mystery cards way too fast. So like, the whole sitcom real life thing falls apart super quickly and everything like that. But on top of that, so like they play all that and then they're like, okay, so we have to do all of these other elements that we're setting up. And then they have so little time that once they get all of the elements set up, they kind of collapse onto each other in a non-climactic way in the finale. Like it's just kind of things happening, characters popping in, people saying stuff, and they're like, oh, they have no idea, like the whole line, like they don't know what you've sacrificed or anything like that seems so silly to the person, like to the viewer who has the context of everything that's happened, but it's like these characters don't even have the full context of what they're talking about even. I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah, I could see that.
Just briefly, I want to talk about So, in the final fight, Agatha steals all of Wanda's powers, but suddenly she hasn't because of the runes.
Yeah.
But she's already stolen all of her powers.
That,
she's not
yeah,
getting
I
them
thought
back.
that was kind of weird.
Right, like Wanda in the room with the runes, she literally can't do anything at all. But the runes were there, and the runes were there right at the end.
We saw that.
Right, she didn't get the last rune until like she threw the rune right as Agatha was taking the last bit of power.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Wanda should be useless.
And I feel like they kind of tried to explain it away with the whole, like, and the same thing with, like, the how is she doing something this complicated? The answer to that was so underwhelming. It was like, oh, she's the Scarlet Witch and she has chaos magic. It can do
Oh, she's the Scarlet Witch and she's got the Mary Sooness.
Anything the plot needs it to.
Yeah, I feel like, just to interject here a little bit, I feel like the magic element of WandaVision is just kind of sloppily introduced and handled throughout the, like, finale and everything. Because, like, there's almost no context to it in the general MCU, besides something like Doctor Strange, which even then, it doesn't go into, like, the magic stuff very often.
Right? Like, how would have like the Avengers or anything not heard about these, like, witch covens and everything like that? With the same powers as Wanda.
Yeah, I don't know.
Runes are stupid, and they were a mistake to add to this cinematic universe because they're going to make every fight between magicians painfully annoying. Just
right.
Why aren't there runes up in the Sanctum? Why aren't there runes up in this place? If Doctor Strange just set up runes around the world.
It's like that anime writing problem. They always make every new character even more powerful. So by the time you're getting to the end, you're like, what? But the big power versus the big power, and they're just kind of standing off because they have such overpowered powers that they can't have a good fight.
You can compare it to Star Wars. So in The Last Jedi, they added hyperspace tracking. But because of it, we're going to have to add hyperspace tracker jammers, and then but then someone's going to want to not do that, so they're going to go further and say, oh, we've developed a new way of hyperspace tracking, and then we've developed better hyperspace tracker jammers, and it's like, no, you just can't. You have to limit your magic. You can't just have a secret way of just, no one else can use magic within the space.
Yeah, I was about to say, having a rule that is that definite in a universe where magic exists is just kind of like damning to the whole magic stuff set up within the universe.
And they're going to have to mention it in every Doctor Strange film from now on. Okay, final fight against Dormammu. Dormammu's protecting the... Wait, why doesn't Dormammu just use runes? Why doesn't anyone just use runes anywhere?
Right, and at that point, like...
Then no one can use magic.
With the magic in the MCU, like, is it even the same kind of magic? It looks completely different, and it works completely different. So is it even, like... Are there different, like, magic types completely? Like Doctor Strange and, like, the witches are just, like, completely separate? Or what is
Doctor Strange isn't affected by runes.
But yeah, like I said, it just seems really sloppily introduced into not only the MCU, but the show as well. And the entire, almost the entire finale hinges on that. Like, all of the conflict within the bubble hinges on magic.
And I feel like if you give one thing out of anything to the MCU, is that it's usually really good at building on its own world. But this, like, WandaVision specifically, feels like probably the most sloppy world building they've ever done.
Yeah.
I'd probably agree with that.
WandaVision is terrible.
And like I said, I think it's because it gets so caught up in itself as being this grand sitcom mystery surreal piece of thingamabob that it doesn't give its time, like, it doesn't care about actually making it a good world building. It's just being like, ooh, new mystery element. Can't wait for next week to see what the new mystery element is. And every episode has like a twist just because.
Yeah, don't look at the plot, just the mystery. Look, we brought back Evan Peters. Woo! Oh, now it's Agatha all along. Now it's White Vision. Now it's now she's pregnant. Now it's this.
That's actually the reason I was very disappointed in WandaVision, is because actually for the longest time, since I first thought of an idea that it was kind of similar to WandaVision, I've wanted to see a TV show dip into like a surrealist kind of take on sitcoms. I've always wanted to do something like that because I think the TV show format can lend itself really well to critiquing like the film structure, which I was hoping this would do a lot more and dip more into like leverage the TV show episodic format more than it does. Which I mean it does for the first few episodes, but then it just kind of once it starts blending more and more with the sword stuff, it just becomes more and more a movie.
Right.
But yeah, that's part of the reason I was so disappointed with WandaVision, is because I'd always wanted to make something kind of like that.
And you know, like on that element, on the side of things, some of the coolest stuff, in my opinion, for WandaVision, like the stuff that I found, like I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome, was like the times where Wanda would edit stuff out of the show or pop the credits up while her and Vision were in the middle of a fight. Use
that
the
was
TV
great.
show element of the world, like
That's
as
part
part
of why I
of
like
the
that episode.
storytelling.
Like,
Yeah.
that whole argument at the end of 5, I think it is, where it's like, oh, she's trying to roll the credits, and then Pietro turns up, and it's like, oh, this is so crazy. And I like the Pietro reveal as well at the end of that. Shame it goes nowhere.
Right, like I love the idea that like Wanda, like what I wanted from the show and what I thought we were going to in the show was that Wanda was kind of losing her own grip on reality, and kind of she had made this world and she's kind of spinning it out of control. And like it would get more and more whack, more and more things. Like Pietro would make sense in my opinion because she just like made a random Pietro, like because her mind was trying to compensate for her kind of losing grasp of reality.
Yeah.
And I thought they were going to play more into that.
Do you want to hear my pitch on what I thought Pietro was? As soon as we found out what Agatha was, and it was Agatha all along, I spoke to Fred about what I thought Pietro hopefully would be. But obviously I'm wrong because I expected anything to come out of the show, and I expected something. And you know, it's my fault for not liking the show because of predictions. But so I thought, Agatha would have seen a world imploding, and taken the opportunity to just yoink a Pietro out of another world in the multiverse. You stick him in. You make him this over-the-top, kind of crazy, just New Jersey man. Manipulate his mind. And then, so at some point during the finale, Vision would tap into his deeper brain function. And you have him, this is actually X-Men Pietro, potentially touch Galactus. Like, you can imply, his world was being destroyed, and you say he was pulled from that world just in time, and then you've got you've then got an opportunity for this Pietro to adapt to this new world. You've introduced a mutant, but you haven't said the mutants are real in this universe, and you've pulled the best part of the Fox X-Men films over. And I just think it'd be real neat. You could play with this fish out of water, like the Avengers, Iron Man. What about Professor X?
Honestly, though, I feel like Marvel is kind of, and I mean, obviously they're doing it on purpose, but like on purpose in the fact that like now, like since the Multiverse of Madness was announced, like ever since then, I feel like Marvel is kind of like meta-ly sitting there being like, haha, what if we keep teasing multiverse? They did it in Far From Home. They did it now in WandaVision, and I feel like they're just kind of playing with audiences, trying to build up hype for Multiverse of Madness.
It's not funny anymore, though. It's like in Far From Home. I like Far From Home. You can say what you want about it. It sucks at points, and it's really good at others. Comic fans expect it to be multiverse baiting because obviously he's an illusionist, but it plays on that general audiences. He's like a guy from the multiverse, and that's a multiverse bait for the general.
Yeah, like I said, I feel like
audience.
Marvel. I feel like Marvel has gotten so like self-aware about the power their movies have to like get fans to theorize about later movies and get excited for later movies that they're like purposefully teasing people like, it could be multiverse.
Yeah, and you can kind of see that most like Marvel fans are kind of fed up with them by now. I think the Pietro thing in WandaVision was kind of the nail in the coffin for that after announcing that he was going to be in the cast. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, sorry.
I don't like the people who say, well, why would you ever expect the multiverse in this film? Because it leads straight into a film called Multiverse of Madness. People there to have predictions, because guess what? Any prediction I saw would have made so much more sense than what we got.
Yeah, and Marvel was like in the past usually very good about subtly setting up later things in the movie. That's what I was saying. They used to be very good at just slowly introducing elements that would build towards like, oh, the Avengers or something like that.
Yeah.
But now, because they know that, like, people know that they do this, I feel like now they're like, what if we give them a bunch of red herrings and not expect everybody to get mad about it?
Well, I'm not entirely sure all of those are... I'm not entirely sure all of the quote-unquote red herrings are intentional.
Well, obviously not.
Because I feel like a lot of
people can draw anything.
Yeah,
from
I was about to say,
anything.
I feel like some of the stuff I've seen have just been like, okay, you're reading a little too much into this, I think.
But stuff like casting specifically, like the Fox's Quicksilver to be essentially Quicksilver in WandaVision. Or even, like Luke said, obviously people who know the comics are going to know that Mysterio is lying because it's Mysterio.
Yeah, I like the Mysterio bait. I like the Mysterio bait because for a lot of people it did make sense, and a lot of people would have been confused, and it's fun, this fun balance between... Well,
yeah.
But
then this
with
is just...
WandaVision, I feel like it's just... This is like... It's a new age Marvel, and if the MCU is headed more in this direction, I'd be more worried about the MCU than I ever have been. Because if we move into like an extremely self-aware, trying to more play with the audience than build your world well kind of view, like more be like, hey, this is different from everything else, instead of still trying to make something solid, I would be kind of worried, because they're trying to introduce a bunch of new stuff, new styles with this, with Multiverse of Madness, with all the crazy stuff they announced with Spider-Man 3. They're trying to build up a lot of hype around how this Marvel is going to be different.
I was about to say, I feel like a lot of their announcements have been stressing, like, we're going into the weirder stuff now, like Eternals and stuff like that.
But I feel like at the end of the day, they're more focused on that, and they're going to, like with this, as it goes on, like, it could start off as something good, but I feel like it's going to fall off very fast because they're not rooted in any substance.
Yeah, I feel one thing
that
was really good about Phase 2. Phase 2 and Phase 3 were just the best. Because, look... You kind of knew where it was all headed. You knew it's headed to Thanos. And it kind of led you there. It just sort of drip-fed you information now and again about all the Infinity Stones, and they keep popping up, and it's like, they all have purpose. And from all this Infinity Stone stuff, you had this fan theory culture arise. So you have all the Infinity Stones are going to come from places that write Thanos. And you had all these crazy things that should have stayed what they were, but Marvel recently has just played into their hands, gone, oh, look at all these teasers, they're not actually going to mean anything, it's just going to be a boner joke, but, look at all these fun things that are happening, and it means nothing now. All the hype I had around Phase 2, it's just gone now, because you've embraced it instead of ignore it and just sort of lead into stuff. Now I don't care. I don't care about the MCU anymore. Falcon and the Winter Soldier could be incredible, and from what I've heard, it's good. But, this whole multiverse thing, the multiverse saga, which is supposed to be WandaVision, Spider-Man, and Doctor Strange, I don't care anymore. This is your big thing right now, and I don't care, because you just screwed it.
Honestly, to kind of speak to that point, like I said, if I didn't have such a creative investment into WandaVision, like, that's a premise I really would have wanted to explore in TV show for, like, forever.
Yeah.
If I didn't have that, me personally, I probably would have just not watched WandaVision at all.
Right?
Because
year break kind of, like, made me realize how nice it was to not be consuming MCU material.
I love the MCU. and it's kind of what I grew up on.
Yeah,
But
no,
it needs to
like,
stop. It needs to go back to phase 2. But it never will. Because it knows its audience now, and it knows that if you show a teaser at the end of something, Pietro or Evan Peters is going to be trending on Twitter for the next week. So it's like,
Yeah.
they're just playing on that Twitter, we got 7 out of the 10 trending things. That's all they do now. And as much as I love it, they have to stop for me to start enjoying the MCU again. I'm not hyped for anything other than Thor, Love and Thunder, and I guess a little bit Spider-Man No Way Home. These are the 2 things I am excited for in the next 3 years. And then Fantastic Four, I don't know what I'm getting from Fantastic Four.
Yeah. It seems like kind of a wild card.
I love the Fantastic Four, but I don't know anymore. And Miss Marvel, she's an Inhuman. I should like it, right? But guess what?
Yeah.
Captain Marvel is set in New Jersey. Or not Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel is set in New Jersey. So it's obviously going to tie into this, and she's going to get powers from this, and she's not actually going to be an Inhuman because the MCU won't ever touch the Inhumans again after that disaster class of a TV show.
Yeah.
She's not going to be an Inhuman. She's going to get the hex stretchness. If they make her an Inhuman, it'll be crazy because I do not believe they're willing to touch the Inhumans again after that show. Even though
Have you ever
the
watched,
characters weren't the problem. It was the actual
have you ever watched S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Agents of
Agents
S.H.I.E.L.D.,
of
yeah.
S.H.I.E.L.D.? They
I
kind
like the
of
first 2
delve
seasons.
into but in the later seasons they kind of I don't remember if they explicitly called them Inhumans, but I think they called them something akin to that, and that's
No, they delved
technically in
into
the
the
MCU.
Inhumans a lot. In Agents
Yeah, I
of
was
S.H.I.E.L.D.,
about
they
to say-
delved into the Inhumans a lot.
Yeah.
So Daisy, she's an Inhuman, and they say it by name. They explore these Inhuman tunnels, and it's so fun. But I also don't think it's canon to the MCU. I think they're just going to decanonize it. But I know the Inhuman show is canon to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I'm not sure if it. I think they can get rid of the Inhuman show and keep Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I just don't think they're ballsy enough to.
Honestly,
the Inhumans.
I think
Make Inhumans. Make Inhumans the villains of Fantastic Four, you cowards.
I think after season 3, specifically of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they kind of decanonized themselves by getting so crazy.
Yeah,
that
I like
show
Agents
gets
of S.H.I.E.L.D., but they just mess themselves over with that.
But yeah, in terms of WandaVision though, since WandaVision, I honestly think to the point of like Robbie said that this is one of like a really cool concept. I agree. This is a kind of concept for a show that I would really love to be done with something like I said, like a Twilight Zone kind of thing, even like with like the new Twilight Zone.
I was about to say, I'd love for like HBO to pick up a premise like this.
But I shouldn't have gotten my hopes as high as they were because it was the MCU. But like honestly, it made me more disappointed in the show than I probably would have been if it was just some normal, like, not advertised and not like setting itself up to be this kind of thing, to just drop it so fast. So I don't know. Do we have any other questions?
Luke brought up earlier that he wanted to talk about criticisms of the show.
Yeah.
Which do you want to? Yeah, I was about to say, do you want to talk about that, Luke?
I'll talk on that briefly. So a lot of people had their criticisms of the show, but all I saw on Twitter was consistently people going, "You hate the show because your fan theory didn't come true. You hate the show because you expected Mephisto and Doctor Strange and the multiverse." So I just want to go through each one of these and say exactly why they were justified, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
So, let's mutants. Why someone would expect Magneto? So, the format lines up, or at least the format of the first couple episodes lined up for meeting the in-laws episode. So people thought, so maybe Paul Bettany's cameo could be Magneto, and this is a show about one of the most powerful mutants ever in comics. Disney owned the rights to the mutants. Evan Peters has been cast. They could go forward with the mutants. They could just pull it out from under the rug and go, here's Daniel Craig as Magneto, and just let's do something crazy. Because we were expecting something crazy, and what we got wasn't crazy at all. It's like, the first 2 episodes, they were a bit mad, weren't they? And then after that, it was just, this and then this and then this.
Yeah.
They said they wouldn't touch mutants until 2023. However, it just felt logical that, we're talking about the most powerful mutant. A character who I think at some point will create the mutants in this universe. But instead, we're just left to expect, so this super powerful mutant and her brother are just not going to have any relation to the mutants at all. Goody.
Yeah, I think a lot of that on that end of, though, like, not to interrupt you of anything like that, ahead. Though, I think you can be disappointed, and rightfully disappointed, in lost potential in a show, but I feel like you also have to be able to criticize what the show itself offers. Yeah, you can be disappointed, like, they didn't do what seems pretty obvious to do. That sucks. But, you still have to look at the show for what it by itself is.
Yeah. But I never saw anyone complaining about the lack of this. But it's more people of writing people who didn't like it off as just fan theory people.
Yeah, a lot of a lot of people, I saw that as well, like you were saying, oh my gosh, you guys all hated this just because your big fantasy for the show didn't come true.
It was like, and I always revert back to this, but it's like, people didn't like The Last Jedi because women. I was like, come on, there's actual criticism for The Last Jedi. You don't need to. Just because you love it so much doesn't mean you have to reduce the criticism down to, you just hated this really one just little thing.
Yeah. But I feel like you could make that argument, which yes, I can see how it very specifically applies to WandaVision, but you can make that argument, that similarity, for just about any modern property when discussing it on the internet, especially. I feel like just the general philosophy for media criticism is a lot different than it probably needs to be most of the time.
Actually, I'll only touch on one other, being the multiverse. This film leads straight into this show leads straight into a film called Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. we are told by Matt Shakman that this leads directly into said film, and then they cast Evan Peters. Right. So it's my fault that I expected the multiverse. Great.
Like I said, they're like at this point the MCU is purposefully baiting.
Yeah, and it's fair to expect it. And then when they pull it out from under you, you can criticize the fact that they just baited you. And first off, okay, it does. Having the multiverse wasn't essential, but you cannot leave a lot of work for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness to do, which is almost finished shooting, by the way, and you've not seen a single set picture, which is crazy. They are keeping that film so under wraps.
Yeah.
But there's logic for multiverse stuff. You kind of expect at least one multiverse kind of thing in this, because it gives you that sort of pathway into Doctor Strange. But I feel like in Doctor Strange, they're going to make it so that you didn't need to watch WandaVision. And I don't think you should have done that. I think you should have had... You should have at least know the events of WandaVision to go into Doctor Strange, but I don't really think you do. Oh, she had a kid, and then she killed it.
The end.
Yeah, that's all you need to know, really. And they'll probably explain that anyway, so it's...
Yeah, that and I guess the Vision uploading himself to the new Vision body, which I thought was kind of a weird choice.
He just went the way of the Poochie. Because he just wasn't seen again. He just gone. Yeah. All right. Actually, I have one more criticism, and it's completely left me. So I'll loop back around to it if you've got anything else.
Actually, I was gonna say, I've kind of voiced my main problems with it, and the stuff I do like about it. So I'm pretty happy to just like wrap it up here in the next couple minutes. So what about you, Micah? Was there any other big elements that you wanted to discuss?
Yeah, no, I'm not really sure there was any other big elements because like a lot of it isn't specific things for me. It's kind of conceptually and like overall show writing problems, you know?
Yeah.
I've got mine. This will probably be my last one. This show, it spends, as soon as episode 4 rolls around, it considers its audience stupid the entire time. It keeps relaying information over and over and over again. Like,
that's true, yeah.
You hear every single little bit of information over and over again, as if they expect people to just, I'm going to start episode 6. Because that's what people do with TV shows. And they just, every single episode, Jimmy Woo's just saying, in the last episode, or in the past couple episodes, they've been doing this and this and this.
That's true. They do kind of beat you over the head with exactly like one-to-one explanations for everything that happens inside the bubble. Which I feel like it should be left a little ambiguous.
Yeah, and you've seen it. You can interpret, and maybe that's the way you can hide stuff and stuff. But nah, it's just, this happened 3 episodes ago, and then the episode after that was this. And
yeah, that's a good point. I wouldn't have thought to bring that up.
I don't need to hear the same bit of information again and again. My other criticisms come more from the final episode, but I'm going to leave that for an Off the Mark episode in a couple of weeks, because
I was about to say, we haven't even mentioned Off the Mark. To all of our recently logged listeners who are listening at the moment, go check out Off the Mark. It's Luke's podcast with Fred. Quite good stuff. I was on there one time.
Yeah, you both were, I think.
I technically speaking was too, yeah.
Yeah.
You were both on there this week, weren't you? No, so this week was the I re-uploaded, or I haven't yet, and it's supposed to go up yesterday. But so this week I put up the original Letterboxd quiz because we didn't have anything for this week because we didn't do a WandaVision review the week we were supposed to, so we're behind. Yeah, they were on there both a year ago and yesterday, all at the same time.
It's kind of amazing. We're special.
There you go.
Yeah, we're going to talk about this final episode in depth because it's really bad, and like there's just going to be a couple scenes that we go through.
I feel like a lot of the stuff we've been talking about is kind of like, it kind of all, like Micah said, it kind of all just like falls apart onto itself. All of the problems we've talked about up till now, like the sloppy character introductions and just the beating you over the head with information to make sure you understand everything that happens in the show. And I don't know, it just all seems to come to a head in the last episode, the finale. And it's not good.
Yeah. But
were you saying you wanted to discuss the last, like, the finale, or right now, or?
Yeah, I'll mention it because there's a scene that's really bad.
Okay. Go ahead.
So, and this will be a scene we cover on Off the Mark, and I haven't quite finished getting all my notes down on it, so this won't be the fully formed opinions you'll see over there in a couple weeks. But
all right.
So it's the scene where everything comes to a head on the ground. So it's when Rambo comes in and saves the kids. They're aimed at the kids, but suddenly the bullets bend, so they're hitting her, and they're lower down than they were. And so the bullets, when they're shot, are like shooting straight at the kid's head, and suddenly they're bent down slightly to hit her, and shifted over to hit her stomach so she can deflect them, and then one of them just goes at the kid's head, and Wiccan just catches it anyway.
I was about to say, I feel like almost everyone found that kind of dumb. when they just catch the bullet anyway, and you're like, okay, but like,
okay, it would have been fine then, wouldn't it?
Like, couldn't you have come up with a more creative way to introduce her powers, like in a like a kind of a flashy way in the finale?
And the guy just shot a kid. It just seems
kind of lazy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that too.
He just took gun out on a kid. Great. Don't you love it when your characters are relatable and heroic and yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's just another one of the instances of honestly the show kind of falling, like I said, falling apart. But I think in this specific instance, like falling back to MCU roots, they don't know what. I feel like they just didn't know what else to do with the character besides fully commit to making him a villain. Like they couldn't have him be a character that is actually genuinely concerned that Wanda is doing horrible things to people and ready to take her out because she has enslaved an entire town of people, because that is what the military would do, because you can't let somebody enslave an entire city.
Yeah, instead he's just kind of reduced to, I'm gonna get promoted for this, power-hungry guy.
I'm going to shoot the kids.
Like, it's like the Iron Giant if it lost all of its nuance. Kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, he just... And then Kat Dennings out of nowhere just straight across him. It's lucky she was coming from that angle, from that direction, and down that right street, that she knew exactly where they were and exactly where that guy was going to be at exactly that moment. Great. Don't you just love it? Don't you love coincidences like that? And then you're going to jail for what? What has he done? Like, at that point, he hadn't done anything necessarily. Like, right. You're going to... Like, he shot a kid, fine, but, like, the higher-ups aren't going to know that, and, like, okay, he built a vision, okay, that... Also, the whole Vision stuff is dumb. Surely Tony had some friendship with Vision. Surely he would have tried to rebuild Vision, and clearly it's possible, because it was done. Like, there was no way right. Tony would have let...
They did it in one episode.
Surely Tony would have wouldn't have let Vision fall into just some random shield knockoff. Like, come on.
The Vision stuff, even while we were watching it, like when they introduced White Vision, I don't know if that I called him Revision when like in my head canon, but
I actually like that. That's good.
Like when they actually introduced that into the show, I was like, this is really weird, right? Like they just all of the plot points that they hit in the finale and leading up to it just feels so either not well set up or just really rushed or just sloppy. It just seems really sloppy.
Yeah. Like I said, because it's a mini series, because they didn't have time, and because they were so focused, like they had to have they needed to commit to one side or the other, making it like a WandaVision show or making it a Wanda MCU show. And
well, no, they could have blended it.
Well, no, yeah, but I'm saying like story wise. So in the end, they have way too many elements on either side,
yes,
and when they collide, they just kind of fall.
I was about to say both sides of the show are bloated by a lot of stuff that didn't need to be there.
Yeah, side characters, plot points, all sorts of stuff that even then feel like they're supposed to be there to set up stuff, but then never really get used in the show itself.
Like I said, main antagonist lady inside the show doesn't even need to be there for the show to happen.
You know, in the first in episode 3 or 4, I can't remember which one it is. It's probably 4. Yeah, it's 4. Mm-hmm. So where Kat Dennings, she's in the car with a bunch of other smart people, and she says, "Oh, they've got a real clown car of people." Well, guess what? That same car becomes a clown car. See, it's a joke. It's setting up that they're all going to become clowns. See, hear how smart this is. It's so smart. It's so smart. Yeah, I don't buy it. Whenever I hear someone say, "Oh, it's so well thought out," no, it's not. It's just dumb. You've just it's a whole. Oh, great! I'm laughing out of my skin.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like to sum up my thoughts pretty well on it, it just seems like a really awesome premise that just has super sloppy show writing and structuring. Like, this is some of the worst TV show structuring I've ever seen. And it just all gets way too bloated trying to introduce new MCU elements.
Yeah.
When it should be focusing on what the show is really about, or what it's trying to be about, I think, which is Wanda's grief. But it ends up just it ends up losing sight of that after the sword stuff gets more and more into the show.
Yeah.
I'm just done with Warner Brothers. Sorry. Yeah, back to stuff.
Do we want to close out though? Because I feel like I've pretty much covered everything I've got to say about it. I don't know about like. Yeah,
I was about to say, Luke, was there? I know you said there was only really the big finale thing that you wanted to bring up. Was there anything else?
No, I think I'm done for today.
All right. Well, I already kind of wrapped
BVS
up.
got another claim.
Oh gosh. That's.
I've already countered it. They've accepted my counter, and now it's blocked worldwide again.
Gosh.
Yeah. All right. I can do my closing.
Yeah, I was about to
thoughts.
say, go ahead and close it up, Micah.
So
Yes,
for me, at the end of the day, I'm probably going to forget about WandaVision. At the end of the day, what could have been one of the most unique things from the MCU ends up just feeling like a disappointment. And not even a big enough disappointment that I'm going to remember it as a disappointment. People are going to mention WandaVision and I'm going to be like, yep, that happened. And yeah, like I love Vision. He's one of my favorite characters in the MCU. I love the way they've done Vision, but like all of these elements and stuff that I love are combined with all of this stuff that just doesn't make sense in a setup for the world, in a setup for the MCU, and for the self-contained show itself. So it all just kind of falls in on itself and makes for something I probably wouldn't watch again besides maybe the first couple episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm never watching the show again.
Solid. Well said. How would you sum it up, Luke?
We're gonna watch the finale on Off the Mark in a couple of weeks, and we're gonna do a kind of compilation of us watching it. Feel free to jump on, both of you. Friday the 30th of April, that'll be recorded. But we're just gonna watch it. We're gonna clip it together. After that, I'm not watching this show again. I can't. As much of it that I like, it rots from the head, and in this case, the end just ruins it all. It's so the idea that I've mentioned a couple of times already, I'm pretty sure, is that if this show stuck the landing and everything worked out in a fairly logical, concise way, this would be a real neat show. But it kind of spoils earlier things. It's like, oh, this is done now, and this is just... I can't look at the original episodes the same way. It's not like when you look at... I'm going to bring up Star Wars again. It's not like when you bring up the sequel trilogy and the original trilogy. There's a 30-year gap in between the originals and the sequels. So you can kind of separate them in your mind. But in this show, it's one written thing that goes from beginning to end. There was no break. It was just written from beginning to end, and that was it. Like,
yeah.
You can't just say, oh, these other writers, and it, you can just kind of separate it out. No, this was one guy's vision. This was Matt Shakman's vision, and the way he planned it out to end sucked. So it's one whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I can see that.
Yeah. At this point now, I'm just done. I'm just done with the MCU until next week when Falcon and Winter Soldier comes out, and then I'll watch that, and I'll watch that weekly, and then I'll watch Loki weekly, then I'll watch Hawkeye weekly, and then I'll watch whatever's next weekly, and then I'll watch Black Widow, and then I'll watch Eternals, and then I'll watch Shang-Chi, and then whatever else they've got next, because I'm just a consumer of trash. and I'm going to watch all of these. Now, how much I hate them because I'm too invested in this franchise. I can't stop anymore. Endgame wasn't the end for me. I was really excited about Wanda, where her character could go. I'm still excited about Hawkeye. I'm still excited about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. These are characters that I'm excited to see go forward. And until these characters run out, like Black Panther, I'm not invested in. Unfortunate things happen though. Captain Marvel, who's the figurehead of this universe going forward, I'm not invested in anymore. So eventually the MCU is going to run out of characters like that, or run out of fun characters that were set up in Phase 2, and suddenly we've just got nothing. Phase 2 characters are the only good characters left. What? Is there any good characters that have been added since the end of Phase 2?
I don't think so. Not to memory, anyway. But yeah,
I like Jimmy Woo.
Ayo,
so
yeah.
Once Phase 2 is over, once every single Phase 2 character is done, the MCU is gone. I'm not invested anymore, and I can't wait for that day.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that day where I can stand up on my high horse and say, "Yeah, the MCU's for kids. You're all children." Yeah. Right now, I just don't want to be invested anymore, but I am. It sucks.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm pretty happy with how this has come out. We had a bit of a rocky start with all of the technical difficulties, but I feel like we got to the root of the problems with the show, which there are quite a few.
Yeah.
But anyway,
it's going well until then.
Is there anything you want to promote here at the end, Luke? Before me and Micah go into our What We Watch segment?
Listen to the Off the Mark podcast, and over the summer, and I haven't told you two about this, but you're both on it. I'm going to do a show that's called, I think will be called The 6 Films of Summer, because my 6-year anniversary on YouTube will be coming up starting June something or other. I'm going to go through 6 films that have impacted my life a lot. I recorded the Civil War one yesterday. We don't talk about Civil War much at all. We just rambled because I haven't spoken to that person in a year. But, then we reviewed Civil War. And I'm going to do one with Fred. I'm going to do one with both of you. Still, see, now you've been told. Kat will be on one. And then I'll just have to find one more for one of the other ones. So yeah, that'll be coming over summer. It'll just be me.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a really fun series that I'm working really hard to get on, apart from the Civil War episode, but that's right off. Yeah, it's fun. It's episode 3. It's good.
Yeah.
That'll be on Off the Mark, though, so sub to Off the Mark.
But anyway, thank you for coming on, Luke. We will probably... we said it at the beginning of the season. We're going to try and have you on more episodes. I was kind of holding off until... we got Orr on the podcast because he was supposed to be our first guest of the season, but more university stuff and scheduling conflicts have kind of postponed that. But I was really glad to have you on for this episode. When I first thought of doing WandaVision after we finished it, I'm like, having Luke on would probably be a lot of fun for this episode. And it was.
Yeah, it was great fun. I really enjoyed this episode.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, I will again. And again, and again, and again.
Forever.
Forever. And even if...
but yeah.
And even when you both die, I'll continue on your legacy.
We are eternally
very
grateful.
Comforting.
Yeah.
We're gonna die under mysterious circumstances, and Luke's gonna take over the podcast.
It's when a businessman dies, and it's just the minutes after the announcement, his son steps up and just, my dad died under mysterious circumstances. Now I've inherited all the money and I've got the business. Yes, coincidence.
So yeah, the police, if we're dead, even though he's in the UK, Luke's your best suspect.
You might want to track him down.
I live in Sheffield. just to note for any police, I live in Sheffield.
I'm sure they're writing it down vigorously in their notebooks at this very moment.
Right.
But yeah, thanks for coming on. We're gonna go into our next segment. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see you next time, Luke.
Bye.
Right, see you next time.
Welcome back to the future, where we're talking about what we watched in the past.
What? Wow. Micah's really drawing attention to the fact that we pre-recorded. Like, it was yesterday, but we pre-recorded.
I think it's fun.
The discussion. It is kind of fun. I'm glad we decided to not just record it all in one chunk.
Anyway, we're doing our what we watched or our recently logged section, which is how this thing got its name, in which we talk about what we've logged recently on Letterboxd, since we log like everything we watch that can be logged on Letterboxd.
Amazing.
We're starting from the 8th, which on the 7th we watched Moxie, which was our last episode. So yeah.
Yeah. That's sorry, I had messed up my diary apparently. There we go. Now I can actually see what I logged. So you said the 7th?
The 8th.
The 8th. Okay. Awesome.
So what do we start with, Robbie?
I guess we'll start with the Lulu Wang short film, which Micah, when researching for his new video, found. I had no idea she did a short film in 2021.
Yeah, it was one of the Apple short films too.
Yeah,
it's filmed on iPhone 12 or whatever.
Yes, it's called Nyan or Nine or something like that.
I wish I spoke
yeah,
Chinese
I was about to say,
be able to tell you.
if we spoke Chinese, we could tell you how to pronounce it, but I'm not sure. But it was quite good.
Yeah, I mean, it was an Apple short, to be sure.
I said in my review that it was very short filmy, of course.
Yeah.
But at least it doesn't feel like some of the other ones I've seen where it's like, this is an Apple.
Yeah, it was the least
short
like
film,
Apple feeling ad.
Yeah.
Like even the Damien Chazelle one was very like, it's Apple.
Yeah. But yeah, no, this is probably one of my favorite Apple short films, honestly.
Yeah, go check out Lulu Wang's stuff. I'm writing a video. I really hope actually I can finish writing the script for it today.
Yeah.
But I'm writing a video about the farewell on my channel, Grawey Films. So yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Good times.
After that, we watched the ever amazing WandaVision.
WandaVision. Hey, we just talked about that.
Crazy. And then after that, we watched Mean Girls.
Heck yeah, we did.
Probably one of the greatest comedies of all time.
It is one of the greatest comedies of all time.
Honestly, probably one of my favorite comedies.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is honestly, like, I have like three comedies that I would consider to be like my favorites, and this is definitely like this has a very secure spot in that
Right.
three.
It's hilarious. It's fun like every time.
Oh yeah.
I gave it 4.5 stars.
It just seems to get better every time I watch it. I love it.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Then next on the 9th, we watched The Emperor's New Groove, another one of my favorite comedies.
Well, there you go. It's interesting. We should do an episode on it sometime. It's a very odd movie.
You could definitely do an episode on this. There's a lot of weird stuff in its production past.
Yeah.
And it comes out to a very weird movie, but it somehow works really, really well.
I was about to say, somehow it's one of my favorite buddy comedies. I don't understand.
It's got one of like the best character arcs in a Disney movie.
It's such a weird movie. Like just in almost every aspect.
Right. But I gave it 4.5 stars. Like it's genuinely like I just love this movie so much.
It's a really fun movie, to say the least. I don't know if I would give it 4, but it's very fun.
Then on the 10th, we watched the ever amazing Shrek 2 for the second time.
Yeah, I was about to say rewatch, baby.
Which it was still very good. I think I actually liked it a little bit better on the second watch.
Oh, I definitely liked it a bit better on the second watch.
Still better than the first Shrek, in my opinion.
I don't know, man.
Still hilarious.
It would be close. It would be so close.
And I also gave this 4.5 stars.
Wow, really switching it up.
Oh boy, well, look what else we watched on the 10th. We also watched the 2019 Australian movie, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
H is for Happiness.
It was interesting. It was I didn't like it very much on the whole, but like it was
at all.
It was kind of engaging. Although the pacing in it was weird as heck.
This thing was like rip-off Wes Anderson combined with like Taika Waititi.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I don't think that hypothetical meshes very well here.
No. I think it was really almost like mind-numbing, the dialogue and the way it was shot and everything. It gave me a headache. Like, it actually gave me a headache. I thought the story was kind of stupid, and I hated the resolution.
I thought the story was fine, like, in theory, but this movie's execution of its plot, and like I said, the structuring of it is just so really weird. It's not great to watch.
And it does, like, the absurdist kind of stuff that, like, you would expect in, like, a Wes Anderson or a Taika Waititi movie, but it does not do it very well.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like it very much. We watched it with our mom, and she liked it quite a bit more than us. So.
I gave it 2 stars.
Take it with a grain of salt.
Then on the 11th,
I watched a couple things without you.
I was about to say.
I just got, actually, fun little announcement here. Since I spent so much money, apparently, on Criterion Blu-rays this last sale, they gave me, the Criterion Collection gave me a free month of the Criterion channel on top of the 2-week free trial.
Which, by the way, is partially mine because I was a big contributor to that Blu-ray purchase.
Exactly. But I decided to watch a couple Criterion things. So I watched A Trip to the Moon, which I feel like most people who have looked into film history, even the slightest bit, are familiar with.
Yep.
George Méliès. It's not my first film of his, and I don't think this is my favorite either. It was really good, and it was technically, like, especially his set design and costuming has always been, like, groundbreaking for the time, and it still looks really good today. I will say the little shuttle thing looks super nice. But yeah, I liked it. And then I watched The Phantom Carriage, which is a German, I want to say, film from the 20s.
Looks Russian, like that.
Maybe,
name
yeah,
looks
it's either Russian or German. I don't remember which. And it has some, like, really surprisingly groundbreaking, like, narrative scattered. Like, there's a lot of, like, flashbacks and stories within story kind of thing. That you wouldn't expect from something this, like, this is like structuring wise and editing wise ambitious even for today. So I really admire it for that, and it's really good. You should go check it out.
And then later that very same day, we watched the ever highly anticipated Western Tombstone, which was our first time watching it.
Yeah.
It was pretty darn boring.
Yeah.
I still, like, enjoyed various elements of it quite a bit. I don't think, like, the filmmaking was awful, but the structure and the pacing were horrible.
When I found out that this was, like, quote unquote based on a true story, I'm like, this makes a lot more sense.
Well, I just can't believe you didn't know the true story.
Micah, the West, like, that era of American history is the period I'm least familiar with.
I guess
on, like, every front.
It's one of the most well-known stories from, like, the Old West.
Yeah, I had no clue.
But anyway, the only parts I would really call, like, great or good at any rate about this would be Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer's performances as their respective characters.
I was about to say Val Kilmer and Kurt Russell are probably the only reason I would ever rewatch this. At any point, so
especially Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday, I really liked that a lot.
Good stuff.
I gave it 3.5, which was generous. It probably deserves, like, a 3. I just liked some stuff about I like westerns a lot.
Yeah, we seem, I don't know, looking at, like, the average ratings and, like, all of my friends, what they've rated it on Letterboxd, we seem to like it a bit less than everyone.
Yeah,
so
I think it's just, like, it's fine.
Yeah,
but the pacing and everything makes it to where I probably wouldn't want to watch it.
Yeah, I just didn't enjoy it very much. Technically, it was a perfectly solid movie. Yeah.
Then on the 12th.
Do we want to mention the 2 shorts we watched?
Briefly, you can mention them, say they're good, because they are.
Yeah, I was about to say, I watched 2 Scorsese shorts on the 12th.
I watched 2 Scorsese shorts on the 12th.
But we watched What's a Nice Girl Like You Doing in a Place Like This, which...
Very good.
Very fantastic.
Very funny.
I think it's probably my favorite Scorsese thing I've seen so far, which I've only seen 2 of his films.
Well, you've seen Hugo.
Well, yeah, that's true. I have seen Hugo, but I like this a bit more than Hugo.
Yeah. And then we watched The Big Shave, which was honestly the most horrifying thing to watch.
I was about to say The Big Shave.
Probably the most uncomfortable I've ever been watching something.
I was about to say it's the only film that's made me like queasy just to watch it. Which I mean, good on Scorsese. He can direct a guy shaving apparently.
Right. But yeah, very good.
Very good stuff. Yeah, they were both on the Criterion Channel.
Yeah.
So.
And then we also watched Detour.
Detour.
Which was my first time watching Detour.
Heck yeah, it was my second time.
I thought it was pretty good. I thought the end was kind of underwhelming. But that was really about it. Like otherwise, yeah, it's really
solid noir. Which I mean, this is essentially like the pinnacle of non-crime noir. Like it's not like a detective solving a mystery kind of noir.
So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I just didn't like the way it ended, but I gave it 4 stars.
Yeah, I want to get this on Blu-ray someday. I want to get the Criterion release of it. I think it would be cool.
And then on the 13th. Late at night.
Very late at night.
We decided to watch Oh yeah, technically it was the 12th night, but like
yeah.
It was late enough that it was the 13th. We watched Gretel and Hansel again.
Gretel and Hansel, baby.
It may not be the greatest, but it's a real fun movie.
I
was
about to say,
pretty darn good most of the time.
I want to get this thing on like 4K or something, and just like whenever I want to turn on a late night movie, I'll either turn on Suspiria or the.
It's a great Suspiria and this make great late night movies. They're both pretty visually interesting and
Suspiria
both
is
pretty
a lot
creepy.
better.
Suspiria is like a billion
Leaps
times
and bounds better. Yeah.
But they're both very fun.
It was a lot scarier this time. Like rewatching it, this was I think both of our second times watching it.
It was a lot creepier than I remembered it being. But you know, good on it. We pointed out like every triangle possible because there's so many triangles and it's hilarious.
The triangle,
which good on them for putting so many triangles. It was just funny.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people didn't like this or just thought it was pretty mediocre. I don't know. I've enjoyed it both times I've watched it. It is kind of goofy the way it wraps up.
I don't know. I think it at least like should fall into a 3-star. I'm sad that it doesn't have it like at least a 3 average. It's got a 2.7.
I don't know. I really like it. Just because it has really nice cinematography and cool atmosphere, and I really like the score as well. So,
but yeah, it's just a fun movie. I wouldn't call it a great movie.
I think I filed it under like my guilty pleasure movies. Like I know it's not very good, but it's very fun for me to watch. So
it's got the shrooms too.
The shrooms. Oh my gosh.
I gave it 3.5. On the 13th. I decided to go on a walk down top-rated shorts on Letterboxd, so I watched History of the Entire World, I guess, David Lynch Cooks Quinoa, Isle of Flowers, The Web, Joe Pera Talks You to Sleep, and Joe Pera Talks You to Sleep. I watched those. I enjoyed them all. They were all very good.
And then he apparently got inspired.
And then, I'd been wanting to make a short for a while.
Yeah.
And on the 13th, after watching all of those shorts, I was like, you know what? I'll do it. And I created I made a new short film revolving around our dog. It's called Lizzie's Treat. You can find it on YouTube, and you can log it on Letterboxd right now.
Heck yeah.
It's a 2021 release.
I'm now a film star, Micah. I have my first acting credit on a film.
Got the acting credit, the cinematography credit, and the editing credit, Remy.
Yeah.
For not this.
Not for they, yeah.
Citrus and this, which is my
not
other short
bad.
film.
I'm moving up in the world.
Our dog has an acting credit now.
Yeah, dog's higher billed than me. What's up with that?
She's the main character. And then we made and then obviously logged it on the 13th.
Yeah. And then I watched, Micah showed me David Lynch Cooks Quinoa, which is very, very good.
Right.
You should go watch it.
Love that. And then also on the 13th, I watched The Day the Earth Stood Still, the Keanu Reeves version, which was not very good. It was very boring and very bland, and there's really not much to say about it, except for it's a very 2-star movie.
It's just very boring.
But yeah, that was our week.
That was it. Yeah. Wow. What a week. I'm glad to finally be finishing this episode, because it's been a very hectic production with us losing an hour of sleep with the whole. I don't know. Our schedules have been apparently
Crazy.
kind of insane the past few days.
No, they have. Are you kidding?
But I hope you guys enjoyed the episode.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll see you next week.
Yeah.